Americans of Reddit, what is your opinion on switching to the metric system? What difference does it make when Big Tape Measure is lobbying with tens of dollars to keep inches, so they don't have to paint more lines? Are tape measures not double-sided like rulers? Dark sing success. My persuasive speech in high school speech class was about why we should convert. This was 20 years ago. I got a good grade, but people love multiplying and dividing by 25. For apparently. Edit. I program CNC for medical device components. Well over half the drawings I see are metric. Machines are programmed in imperial. Many conversions back and forth between inches and millimeters. It's so freaking annoying. We are too lazy, so we rounded it to 25. If ps comes out weird, ps it. I'm even lazier. Round it to 30. Good enough for most everyday use. I'm even lazier. Just use a system where you only need to divide by 10, 100 or 1000. Wait. Ho WKN0CH and G3. He is an assassin in the shadows, a leaf in the wind. Your end will come. Reports say a man in CA was mugged, and they beat him within millimeters of his life. 25. 4 millimeters. If that means rounding up a 32-ounce beer to 1 liter, then yes please. You think the actual pour will reflect the change? They will probably keep the same glass anyways. It's not like they measure exactly the 32 ounces at most places anyways. They'd probably just fill up their 32-ounce glasses like they usually did and call it a liter. They wouldn't even call it a liter. Government switching road signs EMPS doesn't mean that it's mandatory for private companies. A full switch would take a long time. You're right. I'm in Canada and some companies still use ounces for measuring liquids, mostly soft drinks at fast food places. Engineer in Canada. We work in inches and millimeters interchangeably. Because Americans work in inches, it is sometimes easier to make project designs in inches for Americans. Source: I'm studying engineering in Canada. I'm an engineer in America. We use exclusively metric. My employer is a supplier for the big 3 automakers. Chemical engineer in America. Strictly metric. I'm not an engineer. I make pizza in inches. A 12 centimeters long penis sounds much more impressive. I'm in. At least lie and say 13. So at least you're not below average. Average is 5. 5, which is 14 centimeters. Edit. LMAO, this is really my most upvoted comment. Erect or flaccid? 5. 5 in flaccid. 14 centimeters erect. As long as we can add ps as a unit. Buttload is a real unit. Does that make you happy as a consolation prize? Likewise, an assload is 4 bushels. More than that, and they'll quit walking, or even sit down. It's a real thing. An assload is 4 in the bush. Well, I'll be damned. Who old funk it? We are hauling ass. Americans will never accept a foreign ruler. Edit. Thank you all for the upvotes and accolades. Ironically, the US military is all about metric. Anything technology is metric. Imperial just doesn't hold candle to metric's accuracy and rigid definitions. That's a candela. I don't think anyone still uses the international candle. Metric system is miles ahead. The funny thing is miles in German too when it comes to this saying. Meilen weit entfernt. The German saying ostensibly comes from nautical miles, which is a beast of an entirely different nature. Well done. Everyone knows fish can't walk. A nautical mile is made up of 50 to 80 fins, as opposed to feet. It's 50 to 80 fins, actually. These are Nordic units we are talking about. Ah yes, the nautical mile. Not to be confused with the type of mile one might run in a race, known as the Russian mile. Bald eagle screech. Freedom units intensify. The metric system is the tool of the devil. My car gets 40 rods to the hogshead and that's the way I likes it. You right. I measure me chickens in STONE and am better for it, mate. Are you trying to say that stone isn't an intuitive way to measure weight? Come on buddy, what's so hard to understand about the fact that I weigh the same as 10 rocks in a burlap sack? African rocks, or European rocks? Are you suggesting rocks migrate? Yes sir, the pioneers used to ride these babies 4 miles. Standard miles, Roman miles, or nautical miles? Not moving an inch. Don't think you'll find an ounce of support. I'm sure you can, if you pound hard enough. Maybe out in the yard, though it may require really putting your foot down. I'll just walk away. That's why we have feet. I think the world needs to move to base 12. Problem solved. I'd rather not have to learn to deal with A, B2 bills or something. Bills would still be 10, 100, 1000. But stores would sell everything in BBC, for example, instead of paying 99. Yeah, I'd be paying BB instead of the 99c menu. Fast food joints would have the BBC menu. I know a lot of folks like ordering off the BBC menu already, so perhaps this change wouldn't be too intrusive. The metric system is the official measurement system of the US. It has been since the early 1980s. However, it wasn't actually put into practice because we've already been using the imperial system for so long that changing everything over would cause trouble to the infrastructure. Like someone else already said, it's the equivalent of forcing a new language onto society because it's now the official language of this country. Everyone acts like it's just the US, but the UK and Canada also still largely use imperial system in many applications, even though officially we are both metric. It's a very gradual shift. In Canada we switched 20 years before I was born, and I still couldn't tell you how much I weigh in kilograms or how tall I'm in centimeters, even though it's written on my driver's license. When doing construction, unless for government jobs, pretty much everyone uses inches and feet. Anyone talking about how much they can bench does so in lbs. We mostly use TSP/TBSP/cups for cooking. Our ovens work in Fahrenheit, but we use Celsius for weather. We use C for our tires. We use square feet for areas, etc. This post is remarkably accurate. To measure things like or Canadian /. It's funny how all Canadians innately follow this too, regardless of region. I would love to do that. It is a lot easier to work with. As far as the country as a whole switching, I would be fine with the UK method of using both imperial and metric to save on having to entirely revamping everything. So 90% metric, 10% randomly assigned imperial measurements. And not even the imperial measurements that the US uses, lol. That's because the US doesn't use imperial, we use US customary. I'm fine with it, but a larger priority is getting rid of that damn daylight savings time. Europe uses daylight savings time too. So does Australia. My state no longer does though, thank the kangaroo gods. I grew up in Arizona. It was the only state in the continental US that didn't want more daylight. I think there's a county in Indiana that doesn't do it as well. Navajo Nation in us still observes daylight savings time, though. This has been your random bit of trivia. Except for the Hopi tribe inside the Navajo Nation. For an extra sprinkle of trivia. The Navajo Nation, which is in both AS and NM, uses DST, so those parts of AS within their borders are on DST. But wait. There's more. The Hopi Nation is completely contained by the Navajo Nation, and are entirely within Arizona, does not use daylight saving no S time. But the Hopi Nation is also split by the Navajo Nation, so there are two sections of Hopi tribe lands surrounded by Navajo land. But wait. Within the Hopi Nation, there is an enclave of the Navajo Nation, too. And recall they follow DST. All of this is drivable between US 89 and AS 264 in about 2 hours. You can change time 7 times during a 2-hour drive. The US tried to convert back in the 70s. But everyone's about it. I'm all in for switching. It would be really nice to go to literally any other country and understand size and speed. Edit. Thanks for my first silver stranger. And yes, I personally can do the conversions and understand it's not that difficult, but lots of Americans can't be bothered. Technically we did convert. Congress passed a law establishing the metric system as the standard. But no one gave ups. In most countries, when they made the switch it was mandatory, but in the US it was voluntary, so as a result no ups were given. Of all the professions it's weird that drug dealers made the switch. I mean sure lots of technical and science jobs use metric, but it's just one more feather in the cap of drug dealers as they continue to win the war on drugs. Of all the professions it's weird that drug dealers made the switch. At the highest levels, drug dealing is an international business, so it's probably for the sake of convenience when you're importing cocaine from Colombia, meth from Mexico, and weed from Canada. The people who need to use it, the academic community, already do. But the imperial system is so deeply ingrained in American culture I can't ever see it going away. If there was a real Concerted effort by the government and several private enterprises, the NFL, car manufacturers, construction companies and suppliers, then maybe. But it would cost billions of dollars and there is little financial incentive to do so. Even if there were gains to be made in the long run, corporations only seem to look a quarter or two ahead in the long run. There are 5, 280 feet in a mile. 2, 640 and a half mile. 1, 320 and a quarter mile. A mile and a half is 7, 920 feet. And 1/8 mile is 660 feet. I think. Inches and tenths make my brain hurt. But then again, WTF is 5/32 of an inch anyway. The absolute scale of map where 1 inch 1 mile is 163, 360. A gallon is 144 ounces. A quart is 32 ounces. A cup is 8 ounces. A tablespoon is 1/16 of a cup, I think. And there are 3 teaspoons in a tablespoon. I looked none of this up, and I'm simultaneously impressed with myself for remembering such an asinine string of numbers, and depressed that I have to remember such an asinine string of numbers, because a consistent pattern is apparently too much to ask for. Switching to the metric system would suck initially. I have no frame of reference for what 30 degrees Celsius feels like. I can't even spell Celsius. I don't immediately know if something labeled 30 kilograms is too much for me to lift. I don't know how big of a drink 300 milliliters is. I don't know how fast 60 kilometers per hour is. I don't know if a 40L gas tank is big or small. I don't know how long it takes to travel 100 kilometers. Thing is, most of those things you'd figure out eventually. If we just switched and started using it for everything, eventually we'd have these experiences. I'd walk outside when it's 30 degrees C and be like, it's hot. And then I'd know. I'd try to lift that 30 kilogram box and nope, right out of that, I'd be disappointed by the size of my 300 milliliter drink. I'd feel like I was inching along at 60 kilometers per hour. I'd learn that a 40L gas tank is a pretty normal size for a Corolla. Or, you know, whatever. We'd figure this stuff out, and the next generation would be better for it. A gallon is 128 ounces, no? The only measurement I like imperial more for is height. Like there's a distinct cutoff at 6 foot, you know someone is tall or not. That's 180 centimeters in metric though. If you convert mathematically it's 183 meters, but round cutoff points are nicer. The average adult male is 170 centimeters. To compare, it would make way more sense because it's all based off of the tens rather than that 16 ounces is a pound, 2 cups a pint, 2 pints a quart, then all of a sudden 4, not 2 quarts, are a gallon. In metric you have grams, liters, and meters. And the prefixes are pretty straightforward as kilo is always 1,000 base units, tera is 1 trillion, macro is 1x10-6, etc. Well, quarts to gallons being 4 makes sense. They are called quarts. It's the previous ones that make no sense. Of course, metric is superior in every way anyway. I wish we would. I play a lot of games. Most use metric. I wouldn't be affected too much. I think you'll see that a lot of people answering here would love to convert, including myself. Man, I think it would be more trouble than it's worth to switch at this point. I can do both, so I don't personally care. I just want to do it. Get it over with. My opinion? It would be about time. God damn it. Honestly, we should have converted to metric system back in the 80s. Jimmy Carter actually passed legislation to do it, but didn't provide a timetable. Reagan defunded the program so it never went anywhere. But what about football? Insert player with a 91.44 meter touchdown. Would the rules change, even though CFL also goes by yards? Stuff like that could be grandfathered in. At that point it's just an arbitrary measuring system the league uses. It's all visual anyway, so it could still be interpreted by a metric audience. As a Canadian I can confirm that the CFL uses the imperial system as well, despite being a metric country. But it's a funny idea, lol. Let's do it honestly. It's super easy to use. It will be harder for the people not in school anymore to remember how to use it. I'll be in my 80s saying back in my day, I used to run 2 miles every day. And my grandkids will be like, grandpa, you mean 219 kilometers? Yes, do it. Only idiots love metric. Standard is based on astronomical measure. We should have done so long ago. I want the metric system. I think it's dumb to use a different measurement system than the rest of the world. Please. Please. Customary units suck. I like measuring my temperatures in freedom, not communism. Thank you very much. I thought you measured in dead high school kids. What do you think freedom was? The metric system is the tool of the devil. My car gets 40 rods to the hogshead and that's the way I likes it. My opinion is that the whole world should change to our arbitrary, hopelessly outdated system. Cooking and building are more natural in imperial units. As a junior in a mechanical engineering program, I would be ecstatic. At least once a week around the shop. Can we just switch to the metric system already? I like our temp scale though, funky as it is. Let's do it. Start a petition. We already know and use the metric system. The places where you see it not used sometimes have good reasons. If you wanted to switch the construction industry, for example, all materials and tools would need to switch overnight. They all are based off each other's dimensions. I wish that school taught me using the metric system rather than the imperial system. Not sure why we would use a system that not used in a majority of the world, and a complicated one at that. Everything being measured in tens, 100s, 1000s sounds better than 12 in a foot, 3 feet in a yard, 50 to 80 feet or 1760 yards in a mile. By the way, I had to Google the distance of a mile measured in feet cause no one remembers the distance, because the system is stupid. Just make the numbers make sense.